Good morning, good morning, good morning, my podcast and my YouTube family. I'm looking at two different cameras because I'm recording for two different platforms right now. So bear with me as I'm trying to learn all of this camera stuff. But I wanted to take some time this morning. Like I told you in my last video, I'm really getting more disciplined with my schedule and making sure that I record videos on Sundays because that is typically my recording day, definitely for the podcast, but also for the YouTube channel. I'm just putting myself on a schedule because my schedule is so busy and I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to my videos like I used to, and I miss it, and it's something that is big for me. So I've got to make time for it and actually schedule it. So please bear with me as I am going through this journey and this process of just getting more organized. There's definitely going to be some changes coming up soon. I'm going to actually have to hire someone to kind of do some of the things for me so that I'm not trying to do everything and I can focus my energy and my attention on my purpose, which is to serve you guys and to come with fresh content and with content that is going to be helpful in helping you navigate either your relationship or either, whatever mental health issues or challenges or just everyday things that we're dealing with. So this particular video is for my YouTube family. You guys are my A1s from day one. You guys are the reason why I even morphed into having a podcast about relationships. It's something that is near and dear to me. Being able to tap into just providing just coaching and dealing with everyday issues that I think we all face at some point in our lives and talking about it and knowing that you have that platform to talk about those things. So without further ado, today I want to talk about the importance of becoming the best version of yourself. And I'm going to go into a deeper detail on my podcast. So if any of my YouTube family is not already subscribed to my podcast, please subscribe to Erica Janelle. Relationship Talks with Erica Janelle podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on many of the major platforms that you listen to podcasts on. So if it's Apple, whatever it is that you use to download your podcast, please follow me there because we're going to go into a deeper discussion about this. And on the podcast, we're going to talk about when it comes to being prepared for a relationship and when to know it's okay to go ahead and pursue a relationship. It's often one of the things that people don't talk about. And a lot of times we have all fallen into the trap of feeling lonely and just getting into relationships when we're not being the best version of ourselves. But we're going to talk about that on the podcast. So stay tuned. I will be recording that right after this one. But for the sake of the YouTube family, we are talking about knowing the importance of becoming the best version of yourself, not just so that you can be prepared for a relationship, but also just because it's so important for us to be able to define and find out our purpose in life and what we're doing and why we're doing it and why God put us here on this earth. What is the impact that we are supposed to make? And once you figure that out, it's going to be so much more helpful and useful for you to be able to figure out what your journey and your path is. And while you're on your journey and your path, that is when other things start to open up and flow for you. And it's a step that I think many people often forget is the importance of developing yourself. We are often told, by different society and different social media platforms and whatever books, whatever it is that we choose to listen to or feed our spirits with, we're often told that, you attract what you are. And to an extent, that is true. That's not to say that we'll ever be perfect before we're able to have the best of everything that we're desiring and those things that we're manifesting. But it is to say that when you're in a place of brokenness, it is very often, if not 100% of the times, that you will attract that type of brokenness. So if you think back to like some of your relationships, or you think back to certain times in your life when your finances weren't where they needed to be, or your family situation, your home situation was a little bit crazy, and you were trying to build other things without dealing with those issues. If you think back, majority of the time you'll be able to see in those areas what you were drawing to you was the opposite of what you wanted. And I can speak for myself. I know I would have never even married my second husband if I was already healed. Now, granted, I was in my early 20s, and I was just fresh out of a divorce. I didn't know anything about this stuff. I didn't have relationship role models that I could look up to, or people that even were in any marriages or anything like that. So I literally was out there by myself at 18 years old, married to a man that was a serial cheater, that was verbally abusive, physically abusive, and all of those things. And when I finally broke free from it, I was happy to be free, but I didn't realize the process of building myself back up and healing and all of those things. I had to learn those things by myself and just by trial and error. And I ended up bringing my brokenness, because my second husband showed me attention and affection and made me feel beautiful, made me feel important. I showed him something, or I was vulnerable enough to be with him, not realizing that he wasn't even the kind of guy that I would have dated. He wasn't even my type. He wasn't all, but he showed me something that I wasn't getting. And I realized that I was expecting or pulling on something from him that should have come from who I was on the inside. And so it's very important to know, when you are in that broken space, you can't bring all that brokenness into somebody else's life and then expect for that thing to actually be productive. That's not to say that there are not anomalies and situations where people are able to work it out, even if they've gone through a relationship and it's been something that they just jumped right into after another relationship. That's not to say that there are not anomalies for cases that work, but there are far more cases where people don't work out because you haven't taken the time to heal, and you haven't done the work within yourself. I had to learn it not because somebody told me that. I had to learn it the hard way. And when I finally was able to recognize my brokenness, and then realizing, even though he treated me initially a certain type of way, it didn't take really long at all for him to show his true colors. Literally within I think maybe a week or week and a half of us being married, he put his hands on me for the first time. And I thought that this man was the protector. This man was the person that I loved and wanted to be with me and loved me for me and thought I was everything. But I didn't realize I was broken, but he was also very broken. He had some issues that he was dealing with from his childhood, from his past, from the rejections in his life, whatever his situations were. He had to deal with those issues. And instead of him dealing with those issues, he too was broken. So we had two broken people trying to come together in a happy, productive relationship, which is virtually impossible. And so I say all of that to say, it's very important to know that you've got to do the inner work within yourself. And it's not just relationships. It could be your financial situation. I recently went through a really challenging financial situation, and I'm slowly getting out of the hole. I'm not out of the hole yet. I'm not in the clear. And for me, having built up, worked on my credit, worked on my savings, got my investments where they needed to be, had a nice chunk of change in my 401k, and I had built up this stuff for like 3 to 4 years, and I was really at a place where I was thriving. And then all of a sudden, to be laid off from my job and let go from my job, and it was like I had to live off of my 401k, and I had to live off of my savings to be able to provide for my family as a single mom. And it was like everything that I worked for, bills being passed due, everything that I worked for just it crushed, it caved in, is what I was trying to say. Sorry, guys. It caved in around me. And it took me so many years to build it. So I was so angry. I was like, Lord, all I've ever tried to do was be responsible. And all I've ever tried to do is be a good example for my children and practice what I preach. If I'm telling you to work on yourself and work on your finances, and I'm doing that stuff, and then all of a sudden everything crashes around me, and now I'm having to learn how to navigate through life and take 5 steps back or 10 steps back just to be able to survive. After having gone through so much severe poverty in my life, and so many times of having to rebuild my life, after both divorces, I've had to rebuild my life twice. It's not easy. And I was just like, Lord, this is not fair. Like, I've done the work. I've done what you told me to do. I put the time in. I saved. I sacrificed. I did the things. I invested. I, was very wise with my portfolio and did all of these different things. And then to have to go back and have to lose everything in a place where I wasn't even prepared. And then I was forced to basically do my businesses full time, and they weren't in the place where they needed to be. Specifically my HR consulting firm. It was very difficult trying to navigate and find clients because you're forced to find clients to eat versus you finding clients because it's organic and it's the people that God wants you to connect with. Now, that's not to say that the grace of God was not over me and he did not bless me in that season, but I am still climbing out of that hole. I am still trying to get my credit back where it needs to be. I'm still trying to work on getting my savings where it needs to be, getting caught up on bills, getting all of the things done, because guess what? In the midst of me being laid off from my job, life didn't stop. I still had to keep moving. I still had to keep providing. I still had to be the sole source of my kids being able to have what they need. And it's not to say that, it wasn't, I haven't seen the hand of God, because I have seen the hand of God. I've seen so many breakthroughs during that really, really tough financial season. And even in the midst of it, there would be times where I would feel a nudge from the Holy Spirit to tap into, or invest some money into this part of my business or that part of my other business. And it was like, Lord, I'm trying to make sure we can keep a roof over our head and food in our stomachs and, bills paid. And it was just like sacrifices that he led me to make that opened up other doors. And I'm grateful for those doors. But I will not lie to you and sit here and tell you that it was a great place for me to be. And even now, I'm still getting out of it. I'm not in the clear yet. And as a result of me getting out of it, my focus is building my life back up. My focus is not on what relationship God has for me. Don't get me wrong. I want to be in a relationship. I want to be with my forever partner. It is important to me. It is something that is a very big part of who I am. I want to be able to pour all my love into my person. But for me right now, my focus is building myself up so that when my husband is presented to me, or I am presented to him, or we're presented to each other, I am the best version of myself. I am the financially stable version of myself. I am the financially able to navigate my own situation. I've never been a woman that depended on a man for money, and I'll never be a woman that depends on a man for money. Is it a blessing to be able to have somebody that wants to share in those responsibilities with you? Absolutely. Do I look for that, and do I value that, and do I want that? Absolutely. But am I going to depend on him to provide for me? No. I depend on God to provide for me. And the man that God has for me, he will compliment me and I will compliment him. I'm not going to chase after a relationship when I'm still building my life up and I'm still trying to become the best version of myself. Now, does that mean that God can't send me somebody while I'm building? Absolutely not. I'm open to whatever the Spirit of God has for me. However, my focus, my energy, my effort, my drive is going towards building my life and getting where I need to be. And as I'm on that journey, who knows? God may send me that person that is here for me, that is meant to be, my forever partner. But I'm not looking for that specifically. That's not my focus. That's not my goal. My focus and my goal is to build myself up and to become the best version of myself so that when I am in that position and I'm ready, I'm fulfilling my destiny. I'm fulfilling my purpose. That's my primary focus. What God's called me to do is more important to me than anything. And I do mean anything. What God has called me to do is going to be a blessing for my children. It's going to help me be able to build generational wealth and build a legacy for my family. What God has called me to do is going to give me fulfillment like no other. I can honestly say in this season of my life, now that God has started to open up doors, I just started a new job, and that is a blessing. It's making the amount of money that I put in my manifestations that I confess over my life every day, and I'm literally walking in everything that I've asked for. It's the perfect position for what I'm trying to do. It serves the community. It makes people's lives better. It's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I prayed for. But I'm still in that process of building. I'm still in that process of developing. I'm still in that process of growing this part of my life. And as I'm getting out of the hole, getting back on track, slowly but surely climbing back up that mountain and still reaching, till I get to the top of it, I am learning to just relax when it comes to all the other areas of my life. My number one priority and focus is fulfilling my destiny. And as I work on fulfilling my destiny and make that my focus, everything else will line up for me. And I truly believe that. So this is why it's important to become the best version of yourself first. So some of you may ask, okay, how do I do that? Okay, take a actual account of your life, get a notepad and a pen, and write out the areas of your life where you know that you need to still grow, or you know that you're still developing, or you know that there's some things that you still need to work on. I challenge you to write those things out. And then I challenge you to go ahead and be honest with yourself and start working toward those things. Come up with a plan. So if it's your finances, figure out, okay, first step, got to get all the bills caught up and paid. That was my first step. First step is get caught up on all the bills that are past due. First priority. Once I get caught up on everything that's past due, then I can start working on paying off debt and paying, down credit cards and paying down things that are, that I need to pay off. And then I can start saving. So even when I get, my first, few checks or whatever the case may be, setting aside a certain amount of money for my savings, setting aside a certain amount of money to build back up my 401k, setting aside a certain amount of money to do all of the things that I need to do. And then when I do all of those things, that's when everything is going to start to line up for me. I don't want to have the relationship but still be broke financially. I don't want to have, a beautiful, amazing career and a beautiful, amazing business, but I'm broken on the inside. I don't want to have all of those things and not have everything to be in harmony. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. That doesn't mean it's not going to be something I'm working on. You'll be working on something for the rest of your life. But still come at it with the idea and with the mentality of, let me become the best version of myself. And if God sees fit to bring this person into my life while I'm building, at least I know I'm in process of getting where I need to be. I may not be all the way there. And I can be honest with that person that he brings into my life and say, okay, all right, listen, my finances are not where they need to be. I'm working on me right now. I'm not putting any energy or any pressure into this becoming anything more. If it happens, then it's going to happen organically. It's not going to be because I forced it. I'm not expecting you to take care of me. I'm not expecting you to provide for me. I'm expecting God to provide for me. And when that becomes your focus and that becomes your energy and that becomes your attention, that's when I believe God will bless you with the other things that you're seeking and that you're desiring. So I wanted to share that little tidbit of advice for you. It's something I'm doing right now. And as I always say to you guys, I don't ever talk to you about topics that are not something that I'm dealing with myself or have dealt with myself and I'm growing and learning through myself. So I'm like, as many of us, I want the relationship. I want my forever love. I want somebody that I can pour all this love that I have into. And I know that person is out here for me. However, my focus is building me. I want to be the best version I can be. So when he sees me, my spirit recognizes his spirit and we are able to connect and build each other up and help each other grow to the next level. Because I'm looking for somebody they got purpose, they got drive, they got vision and things that they're trying to do to help the world and help the world be a better place, help people heal. We got to be on the same page. And if I have that perfect partner, that's not perfect, but excuse me, my allergies are really bad because this weather is so weird. Nobody should have allergies in November, but excuse me. But I say all of that to say he's not going to be perfect, but he'll be perfect for me. And we'll complement each other as far as what our destiny and our purpose is. Our purposes will align with one another. And that's what I'm ready to become. Excuse me. So in order for me to become that, I've got to put the energy and effort into my own journey and becoming my best version. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.